Well, today we're going to install the Innovv K3 camera system, putting a camera in the front of the motorcycle and a camera in the back of the motorcycle. And before we start, please comment below, like, and subscribe, and we'll keep making these videos. Anyway, since we're going to be dealing with electrical, the first thing we always do is pull the main fuse. And the main fuse is located under this panel right here. So let's pull the main fuse panel here. And it's that red fuse right here. And that's it. So now, we've got to take, unfortunately, we've got to take most of the bike apart. Because we've got to run wires from the front of the bike to the back of the bike, and from the back of the bike to the front of the bike. So we're going to be removing the seat, we're going to be removing the gas tank, and we're also going to be removing the fairing cover. I tried to find a really good location on the front, and I think I found it between that plastic cover piece that kind of is a little bit of, more decoration, but it kind of covers up the brake lines and everything. And I did find a nice spot on the back. I'm actually going to mount it off of the tour pack, drill a hole in the tour pack, and then mount it right in the middle of the tour pack. So that'll keep it farther back, and the same way with doing it up front. I'm going to try and keep the camera kind of obscured so that people really don't see it. Now, most of my videos, you've seen me take the front fairing off, you've seen me take the gas can off, you've seen me take the seat off. So through the magic of very fast motion, we'll be performing all of those steps. I'm not going to really go into a step-by-step. There's the 3 screws for the mirrors here, there's 2 screws here, there's the 1 screw in the back for the seat. In the front we got a bolt on either side of the tank, and there's 2 other bolts in the back of the tank. It's fairly simple to get off. It's kind of a one beanie project. So we disconnect the gas line over here by pulling down on the silver piece here, and it will just pull it down. I'm not going to do it now because I don't have a rag. I want to catch whatever gas comes out of there. I do have the tank pretty much at empty. I drove it home today with all my warning lights on, so I'm just hoping I would get home. I did it on purpose just because the gas tank's a lot easier to get off when it's really light. Otherwise, in the past, I've actually just siphoned the gas out. But I was at a point where I could, be where there's going to be a little amount of gas in there, and as long as it gets me from here to the gas station 2 miles away, once I'm all done, I'll be in good shape. So let's start taking the bike apart and getting ready to install the camera system. Okay, that's it. So everything's off. We got everything exposed, and now we'll get the start installing the new camera system. So I'm thinking about the camera. I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to take this piece off here and see if I can kind of retrofit something in there. There is a hole underneath here, but there's nothing I can really bolt into. I think it's the bolt for the front fork here. So what I want to try and do is come up with something that I can mount it here. So I want to get this piece off. There's a couple tangs here, lips that come in, and I'm thinking I can do something with that. Either that or try and maybe do a mount over here. But I'm really looking for try and get something to go right about here. So I think what I'm going to have to do is remove the lights. So we'll get those bolts off and then take this piece off. Okay, so now the piece is off. Now we just got to figure out how we can figure out something to mount this with. So this is what I come up with. I've got a aluminum bar here. Maybe it's 1/8 of an inch thick, and the length is good, so I can cut this down. And what I'm going to do is attach it here so I can get a size for me. I'm going to take my Sharpie and trim it where I want to trim it. And then I'll attach it with a couple of screws. Probably thread it right into some self-tapping screws, and then tap it right into the piece of aluminum here so it'll stay in there. But let's get it cut up and see what we got. Alright, so I think we got it pretty well done here. You can see I took this aluminum bar and cut it to fit on the edges. And then I put these flat-headed, really skinny flat-headed screws that actually just screwed right into the aluminum. You can see that. And it fits good underneath there, so we'll drill a hole right in the center here and work on mounting the camera that way. Alright, now let's talk about what we're going to do now. First of all, the two cameras that we have here, they have different lengths. This one says 2.0, this one says 1.5, and I know that because I took them apart. And this one is shorter than this one. So this one we'll put in the rear of the motorcycle. This one we'll put in the front. Now how we're going to mount this with the mounting system that they have. And you know, we have our aluminum piece that I put across here. I've drilled a hole right in the center. And it's going to consist of a few parts here. This is a kind of a rubbery piece because the camera itself actually slides right now in the holes in the bracket here. So we'll cut this to fit and then put this inside the bracket like that. And then we'll put the camera there. The next part of the bracket comes with this small square piece, and it goes in between this bracket here and is held with these two shorter screws. This screw is a little bit shorter than the screw I'm going to use for the top. So we'll put that screw in there and then put one in the other side. And then what I'll do is I'm going to take one of these rubber bushings that they have, and I'll put this screw through the center hole here and then put on the rubber bushing, and then this will actually screw right into this bracket. So when it's done, it'll be hanging down just like that, and then that'll be on the front of the motorcycle. So we should be right in the center and right where I want it to be. Alright, so you can see the camera's mounted right there, and now I'm going to run the wire. And there's a nice rounded plastic bracket right there, and you can see I run the wire through that. And those wires end up going through back over here into the wire chase, and then it'll run down the backbone. So really kind of happy with that. I think that'll work out really well. Alright, the next thing we're going to install is the remote. And it consists of this, which this is the one that's got your GPS light, your recording light, and your Wi-Fi light. I don't think you're going to be able to see that during the day, but anyway. Then we've got this little button here, and if you click the button once, from what I'm understanding, it'll take a picture, and it'll freeze the video that it just had, and if you click it twice, it'll take a picture. So how we're going to install this is we've got a little L bracket here, and the L bracket's actually going to attach to the back of the remote, and it'll have a screw just like that. And now we've got a bracket attached to the back. So now I'll show you where we're going to put it on the motorcycle. Alright, so where I thought I would install the remote is on this bracket here, which is the bracket for my Zero big ass drink mug here. And I'm going to remove this screw right here and then put this in between so it'll sit approximately like that on my bike. And then I'll be able to get the button because it'll be near my hand controls. So I think that's a pretty good place to do it, so that's what I'm going to do. Alright, as I started to put it on, I showed the bracket originally where the bracket was facing up, so it would have put the remote control like right about here. And so I thought, well, let me try and see if I can flip it down. So I flipped it down, and I think that's a lot better place. So now I'll just undo the cord here, and we'll run it down the handlebars, and then we'll get all the wiring then going through the backbone here. So the next challenge is this GPS device. And I tried to find some information about it, and I found one article that said if it's exposed, you're going to get a lot better GPS reading as you're going. So I'm trying to figure out where to mount this thing where it could actually see the satellites in that. And what I kind of thought about was putting it right here, and it'd be kind of hidden because it wouldn't be there. But one thing I did notice is that if I put the windshield on, it'll pinch this wire right here. So what I'm thinking about doing is just cutting out a little bit of this plastic here so that the wire can run down through there, and then I can run it through the fork. Okay, so here's what I did. I cut a little notch right here, and so the wire goes in there, and then I cut a little slot right here, and then ran it underneath the vent here, and then down and through that hole again that I saw. Word of caution, I expected this part up here to be soft, and I used like a tin snip to cut this. Well, when I made my first cut, it cracked, so be careful doing that. I don't know, you may want to try and take a small saw or something and mount it with that. But anyway, that's the install of the GPS. Okay, the last thing we got to install is a microphone. And I'm not really sure where or if I want to install this because, I mean, I like it that the backbone's all opened up and I can run the wires through it. However, I don't know where I'd put this thing. So I guess what I'm going to plan on doing, I'm not going to do anything with it. Maybe if I would store it, maybe I'll figure out a way that I could slip it into the back of the tour pack, and if I wanted it, I could pull it out. I got enough cord here, it looks like it would be long enough to go from there and out. But I don't think I want to run it up through the backbone and have it hanging out somewhere up in front here, because I don't know where I'd put it. So. And it's not like I got a little compartment, that I got this, the compartment over on the right side there that opens up, but I don't know really how well that would work. So anyway, I think that's what I'll probably do, is maybe try and figure out something to put it inside the tour pack, and if I ever want to use it to talk while I'm riding, I can do that. Alright, so what I ended up doing with the microphone is I ran the cable here up, and then it goes behind this pad here, and then I cut a little notch out there, taped that wire down there, and then went back here and put the wire in there, and the microphone sitting out. So if I want it, I've got it, and it's connected. So I was thinking the best place to put this would be underneath the tour pack. I thought, well, that should be pretty easy. I'll just go up underneath there and drill a hole. Well, then I open up the tour pack and I empty it, and pull up the liner, and I got the plate here. So I can either take the tour pack off, remove that plate, because it probably comes apart, and then mount the camera and then put the tour pack on, or I could do it onto the trunk part. Now, I didn't really think the trunk part would be that good. It would be underneath there, and I don't know, I just didn't think that would be the best place to mount it. So I think I'm actually just going to take the tour pack off and do it. I think that would be the best place for it. Alright, the tour pack's all apart. I got that's the tour pack relocator there, those two black bars underneath that pan. And I got that out. And now what I'll be doing is we're going to go down here and I think drill a hole right down here. And then that's where the camera will be mounted. And I think that'll work out really good. I know it's a lot of work to do that, but I think it's worth it to take the time to do it. So I got the camera mounted on the tour pack. It was a little bit of work, but I think it's worth it to make it look really nice like that. So that's how it'll be looking once it's connected. And I'm going to put the tour pack back on the bike. So before they get to the DVR, we've got to hook up the DC converter, they call it. And this supplies power to the DVR. And we have a red, a black, and a yellow wire. And the red wire goes to the positive side of the battery, the black goes to the negative side of the battery. And then this yellow wire, we have to connect that to a wire that gets hot once the ignition turns on. And this is the wire that actually triggers the camera to start, to start recording in that. So I think it's just gonna kind of like tuck this thing back down in here. Doesn't really any place to really mount the thing. Then we'll get to the DVR. I thought I'd record this part because it's kind of crazy, but in order to get the battery, to get to the battery terminals, the negative one is actually, you can see it here. The positive one has a cover over it, therefore we got to take the cover off. So, got to remove a couple of bolts here. And then kind of expose this thing. It's kind of easier to just take the ECM and pick it up and kind of move it out of the way. We can work on getting the battery cover off here. There's a connector that's on the cover. Now let's lift straight up. There we go. Alright, we got that to the side and that to the side. Pretty much exposing everything, so we'll undo the bolts there that are on the battery terminals and connect our DC converter in. Now, I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to actually see here. Always remove the negative battery terminal side first. We'll pull that out of there. And we have our DC converter wires here. Once we have the negative removed, we'll move this off to the side. And I'm just going to take a rag to put kind of in between the terminal there so it doesn't come back over. If you don't, you're just going to get a spark and probably scare the heck out of you. So next thing we're going to do is the positive. Now it does have a slip-on connector, if you can see that. So we're going to approach it from the rear here and see if we can slip it on without taking it off, and we can, so that's good. So I'm just going to tighten that one down. Alright, now that we've got that done, then we can bring the negative back over. And let's put the screw in the negative side first. And now we'll take our negative wire and we'll slip that one on the terminal. Alright, and that's it. So now we just put the cover back on and put it all back together. Alright, so we need to find a wire that is, when I turn the motorcycle on, it's going to go to 12 volts and then also be off when we turn it off. So I'm going to turn it on right now. And I know my back tour pack lights are on. I pulled this connector here from the tour pack, and hopefully you'll see here, I found that this purple and blue wire, goes to 12 volts. And if you can see that on the meter right now, I'm going to turn it off, and it goes back to 0. So that's a wire we can take that yellow wire and hook it up to. So let's work on doing that. Okay, so on the harness, I found the purple and blue wire, mostly purple with a blue stripe, and I actually soldered it together, and I'll tie these down now along with that, and then kind of tape this all back up so it'll all be there, but it's soldered in and should be a good connection. All right, we got everything all hooked up, and we ran through all the tests on it. I did have an issue. I could not hook up to Wi-Fi, and I found out that the 256 gig memory card that I purchased was not working. I took it inside and connected it to my computer to try and format it, and the card got really hot, and I've never had one do that before. But anyway, another thing that I just noticed, I went through all of the settings, and I actually have the setup turned on that if something would bump my motorcycle, that it would immediately start recording the front and rear. So I'm just going to hit the motorcycle. We'll watch the remote control there, and we should see there goes the camera. The camera just turned on, and the GPS is going. So I know that's working. So that's pretty good. So the next thing I want to do for you guys is I'll show you what the interface looks like and what the settings are, and then I guess it's time to kind of button it all up and put the seat on it and then go get some gas. So let's take a look at the interface. Alright, we're going to try and show you as best we can how this app works. I've got to go turn the motorcycle on first, and hopefully the Wi-Fi signal will get over to the to my phone where it's sitting here. So we'll turn our phone on, and got to log in. There we go. And I'm going to hit the Innovv mat. So on the remote control, I've got the camera running right now, actually, and we're going to connect with Wi-Fi. So I'm going to hit the setting button, and it asks me if I'll connect with the camera, and I agree. So now we wait to see Innovv, and there it is. There's Innovv. So we click on that, and I already put the password in. The password's 12345678, and it's checking the quality of the internet. And when I first did it, it told me that it couldn't make a connection, but the instructions tell you to just say connect anyway, and it worked okay. So we're waiting to make sure we're okay. Now we're connected without internet, and which is fine. And now we hit settings. And it comes up, and this is the settings menu that we get. And the first thing is a Wi-Fi name, and that's the one that shows you the password and that, and it says Wi-Fi activation's on. My resolution is 1080 by 30, and you can select 1080, 720, or 1080 by 28. I'm going to keep it at 30. The next is the bit rate, high. I'm going to leave that. Mirror image, normal, and the mirror image on the rear, normal. Loop recording is set for 1 minute. The format, I changed it to MP4. You have a choice of MP4 or TS. I left it at MP4 because if I want to edit, I'll edit it on my MacBook. Time lapse is off. Preview lens switching, front and rear. I'm not really sure what that means. Audio is 4 bars right now. Date and time is turned on. The speed unit is set. The speed display is turned on. The speed unit is miles per hour. When I first turned on the app, it was at kilometers, so I changed that to miles per hour. The video stamp, I named it Bat Cycle because I do everything with Batman. And the capacity right now on this card is, it's only a 32 gig card because the 256 gig card I had was no good. Now I have turned on the parking monitor, and that's the reason that when I bumped my motorcycle, the lights turned on, the camera light and the GPS turned on. So my light source I kept at 60 hertz. You have a choice there between 60 and 50. I put it to 60, it came at 50, so not really sure. And then the other one's the time calibration, that doesn't work. The cache cleanup, all that's doing, I think, is getting rid of, files that are no good. So we'll clear the cache. Then you've got a reset. It's telling you then the file path where it's going, the software version. I did upgrade the software on this. I downloaded a file from the Innovv site and put it on the 32 gig memory card, and it has to be in the name of the format of the file, and it happened to be K3.bin, bin, and once you put the memory card in the DVR, it will automatically do the update. And the reason you know it's doing the update is because the little camera icon on the remote control, it flashes. So that's how you know it's doing that. All right, let's get out of this. We'll go look at the camera right now. Well, it's probably not going to be a good thing. You're probably all we're going to see is my butt. But anyway, it is recording right now, and you can tell that by the flashing red light up at the top. The GPS is on, and it is in parking mode. So I'm going to pause it right now. And right now the display is front and rear. And if you hit the FR button here, you have a choice of picking which ones you want to do. So if I hit F, then it's just going to show the front view of the camera. And I'll just kind of back out of the way there because this is where we're recording this at. And if you hit the F again, and if I hit the R, it's going to show the rear. And we're in my garage, so there's my garage door. And the way that I had it originally was front and rear, or you can do rear and front. So that's the way I'm just going to leave it right now. Going to the files, you go into document here, and then you do camera files. And this will bring up the continuous video, the parking video, the accident video, protected video, and photos. Now, if I hit continuous video, we're going to show some files that I've already recorded. And these are ones you can see the front and the rear camera there. If I go over to parking video, I'm wondering if I got one. Yep, and I do. So these are the ones when I was starting to record here, and it noticed because I moved the DVR, it actually started recording. So that's what it's supposed to do. Protected videos would be a video that you save, and if you push the button on the remote once, it'll protect that video. An accident video, if something happens with the motorcycle, it will put that in that area. I don't believe I have any photos. I don't think I've taken any at this point. Oh no, I guess I did. Looks like I took a couple photos there. And let's stop that. It looked like it's recording. And we'll go back. And that's really about it as far as from what I can see on the settings. There's some facts down here. There's a forum you can go to, which I haven't gone there yet because I don't have it. You can go to their website by clicking on that one right there. And that is it for the interface. It's fairly simple. A couple things I did want to say, though, about the cameras. Now, those are great, but the thing that they don't tell you, try and get a light here. All right, there's our camera setup right there. And what I had to do was actually turn them, and we'll go back to the rear here. And there's our rear camera right there. But when I first turned on the app and I looked at the front and the rear cameras, well, they were not in the right orientation. So just remember not to really tighten those down in your, in the mounting brackets until you actually have a chance to turn it on and look at the brackets. So anyway, that is about it. Next thing we're going to do is take it out for a little test drive and see what the files look like. And like I say, the app's pretty easy. The instructions suck. They don't tell you a lot of things in it, so you're going to have to learn stuff on your own with it. It's not really too hard. It's not, I guess I'm just the kind of person that would rather see some step-by-step instructions or maybe some more explanations. I'd like to know why the GPS, where that should be positioned, and you know, they didn't really do that. But anyway, I hope this video helps, and like I say, the next thing we'll add to the video here is going to be an actual test drive, so we'll actually see the front and rear cameras moving in use.